There is a lie we tell children before they can even speak. It is not a malicious lie. In fact, it is born of the deepest, most desperate love. We tell them that if they are good, good things will happen to them. We tell them that if they work hard, they will succeed. We tell them that bullies get their comeuppance and that the hero always wins in the end. We build them a nursery of the mind, painted with the bright primary colours of justice, karma, and fairness. We do this to make them feel safe. We do this because the alternative is too terrifying to explain to a 4-year-old. But then the child grows up, and slowly, painfully, the paint begins to peel. They see the cheat get the A. They see the lazy employee get the promotion because he laughs at the boss's jokes. They see the kindness of a parent repaid with cancer. They see the utter, terrifying randomness of the machine. And a silence settles over them. It is the silence of a contract being broken. A contract they signed with existence itself, which stated, "If I do my part, the universe will do its part." We need to break that silence. We need to tear down the nursery. We need to look at the raw, unvarnished architecture of reality and admit the heaviest truth of all. The world is not fair. It never was. It never will be. And the expectation of fairness is the source of our greatest suffering. To understand this, we must look at the starting line. We love the myth of the blank slate. The idea that we are all born equal, balls of clay ready to be moulded by effort and will. But this is biological fiction. The injustice begins in the womb. It begins before the womb. It begins in the genetic code of your ancestors. Some people are born with a neurology wired for happiness. Their baseline serotonin levels are high. They wake up and the world feels welcoming. They are resilient to stress. They are the genetic lottery winners of mental health. Others are born with a brain that is a hostile architecture, wired for anxiety, for depression, for addiction. They wake up and the world feels like a threat. To simply get out of bed and brush their teeth requires the same amount of willpower that the happy person uses to run a marathon. Is that fair? No, it is chemistry. Consider intelligence. We treat intelligence as a virtue, something to be praised, like kindness. But intelligence is largely a roll of the dice. You did not choose your processing speed. You did not choose your working memory. You did not choose the ability to grasp abstract mathematics or the nuance of language. These are gifts bestowed or withheld by the blind mechanic of DNA. Yet, we build an entire society that rewards these unearned gifts with massive disproportion. The person with the high IQ and the low need for sleep can accumulate wealth and power that the person with the average IQ and the chronic fatigue can only dream of. We look at the billionaire and say, he worked hard, and perhaps he did. But we ignore the millions who worked just as hard, sweating in the fields, breaking their backs in the warehouses, who will die poor because they lacked the specific cognitive toolkit that the market rewards this decade. This is the Matthew effect, named after the biblical verse. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have abundance, but from him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Success accumulates. Privilege compounds. If you are born into a stable zip code, with books on the shelf, and parents who speak to you in complex sentences, your brain physically develops differently than the brain of a child born into the cortisol-soaked environment of poverty and shouting. By the time those two children enter kindergarten, the race is already half over. One is running on a paved track with running shoes, the other is running barefoot through mud. And yet, we judge them by the same stopwatch. We look at the person struggling and we say, "Pull yourself up by your bootstraps." It is a cruel joke. It assumes that gravity works the same way for everyone. It assumes that everyone has boots. Let us talk about the unfairness of the halo. As we discussed regarding beauty, the world grants a massive, invisible subsidy to those who fit the aesthetic norm. But it goes beyond beauty. It extends to charisma. Charisma is a superpower that bypasses logic. We see it in leaders, in con artists, in the popular kids at school who grow up to be the popular managers at work. There are people who can walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts. They have a cadence to their voice, a warmth in their eyes, a way of making you feel like the only person in the world. They can sell ice to Eskimos. They can sell lies to nations. These people glide through life. Doors open for them. Mistakes are forgiven. Oh, that's just John being John. They fail upward. Meanwhile, there is the person who is awkward, the person who stutters, the person who is socially anxious, who cannot make eye contact, whose palms sweat when they have to speak. They might be smarter, more moral, more hard-working than the charismatic person, but they remain invisible. They are the background radiation of the office. They are the ones who do the work that the charismatic person takes credit for. This is not a meritocracy. It is a theatre, and some people were born with the script, while others were pushed onto the stage blindfolded. But the unfairness gets darker. We must look at the distribution of suffering. If the world were fair, suffering would be a curriculum. You would suffer to learn a lesson, and once the lesson was learned, the suffering would stop. Bad things would happen to bad people. But walk through the oncology ward of a children's hospital. Look at the faces of the parents. Look at the innocents hooked up to machines that beep in the rhythm of a tragedy. What lesson is the 3-year-old learning from leukemia? What karmic debt is being paid? There is none. It is biological noise. It is a cell dividing wrong. It is a genetic typo. And then turn on the news. Look at the tyrants. Look at the men who start wars, who pollute oceans, who exploit the vulnerable for profit. Do they suffer? Rarely. Often they live long, healthy lives, surrounded by luxury, dying peacefully in their sleep at the age of 90. The wicked flourish like the green bay tree, while the righteous are cut down. This reality creates a cognitive dissonance in us that is almost unbearable. We cannot process it. Our brains are pattern-seeking machines. We crave cause and effect. So when we see a tragedy, we try to invent a reason. This is the origin of the just world hypothesis. When we see someone poor, we desperately want to believe they are lazy. When we see someone sick, we want to believe they didn't take care of themselves. When we see a victim of crime, we ask what they were wearing or why they were walking in that neighbourhood. We do this not because we are cruel, but because we are terrified. If we can blame the victim, then we can protect ourselves. We can say, I am not lazy, so I won't be poor. I eat kale, so I won't get cancer. I am careful, so I won't be attacked. It is a psychological shield. It is a way of bargaining with the chaos. But it is a lie. It is the same lie as the nursery. It blinds us to the suffering of others, turning our empathy into judgment. It makes us arrogant in our good fortune, convincing us that we built the house that luck actually gave us. Imagine the arrogance of the man who wins the lottery and then writes a book on investment strategy. That is how the lucky view the world. They mistake their good fortune for good character. So, where does this leave us? If the game is rigged, if the dice are loaded, if there is no referee, do we just give up? Do we sink into a nihilistic despair, spiraling into bitterness and rage? Many do. And it is understandable. The anger is valid. The feeling of why me is a scream that echoes in the canyon of every human heart. But there is another path, a harder path, the path of the realist. The realization that the world is unfair is not a reason to despair. It is a signal to wake up. It is the moment you stop playing the game according to rules that don't exist, and start playing the game as it actually is. When you let go of the expectation of fairness, a massive weight lifts off your shoulders. You stop looking at the sky and asking, why? You stop waiting for the apology. You stop waiting for the check in the mail. You realize that you are alone in the boat. The ocean does not care if you drown. The ocean is not hostile. It is indifferent. It is simply water and wind. And in that indifference, there is a terrible kind of freedom. If the universe owes you nothing, then everything you manage to wrestle from it is a victory. Every moment of joy, every connection, every meal, every breath is not a right. It is a conquest. You begin to understand that you have been dealt a hand of cards. Maybe it is a pair of twos. Maybe the guy across the table has a royal flush. That is the reality. Crying about the royal flush will not change your cards. The only question that matters is, how do you play the pair of twos? This is where the true measure of a human being is found. It is easy to be gracious when you are winning. It is easy to be kind when you are rich. It is easy to be confident when you are beautiful. But to be kind when the world has been cruel to you? To be generous when you have almost nothing? To keep standing when you have been knocked down for no reason other than bad luck? That is greatness. The unfairness of the world is the forge of character. Think of the trust fund baby. We often envy them. They have the cars, the clothes, the safety net. But look closer. There is often a fragility there. They have never had to test their own strength. They have never had to build a shelter in the storm. Their identity is constructed on the foundation of their parents' money. If you take the money away, who are they? They don't know. Now look at the person who has had to fight for every inch. The person who grew up in the unlucky zip code. The person who had to work 2 jobs to put themselves through school. The person who has managed a chronic illness and still shows up to work. They possess a density of soul that the lucky person can never achieve. They know, for a fact, that they can survive. Their confidence is not a delusion, it is a receipt. They have the receipts of their own survival. This is the compensation we spoke of earlier, but on a spiritual level. When you know the world is unfair, you stop judging others so harshly. You realise that the homeless man on the corner is not necessarily lazy. He might just be the guy who got the schizophrenia gene and no support network. You realise that the angry woman in line might be carrying a tragedy you cannot see. Your empathy becomes high resolution. You stop believing in the caricature of good guys and bad guys. You see broken people trying to navigate a broken map. And here is the most important pivot. When you accept that the world provides no justice, you realise that you must be the justice. Justice is not a natural phenomenon. It does not grow on trees like apples. It is a man-made invention. It is a structure we have to build constantly against the entropy of the universe. If you want fairness in your circle, you have to create it. You have to be the one who treats people with dignity, even when it doesn't benefit you. You have to be the one who hires the person who doesn't look like the right candidate. You have to be the one who listens to the ignored. You become a pocket of defiance. In a cold universe, you become the fire. In a chaotic universe, you become the order. There is a concept in Stoicism called Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. Not just the tolerance of it, but the love of it. This sounds insane. How can you love a fate that includes illness, poverty, or ugliness? You love it because it is yours. It is the specific block of marble you were given to carve. You cannot carve someone else's marble. You can only carve your own. And the more difficult the marble, the harder the grain, the deeper the cracks, the more masterful the sculpture must be. The unfairness forces you to go deep. The person who glides through life stays on the surface. They are the snorkelers. The water is clear, the fish are pretty, the sun is shining. It is a nice life. But the person who struggles, the person who is weighed down by the lead belt of circumstance, they are forced to become the deep sea diver. Down there, the pressure is immense. It is dark. It is cold. But that is where the wreckage of the Titanic lies. That is where the strange bioluminescent creatures live. That is where the truth is hidden. Pain is a tutor. Disappointment is a tutor. Injustice is a tutor. They teach you about the fragility of life. They teach you to savour the small moments of mercy. A hot cup of coffee on a rainy day tastes better to the man who has slept on the street than to the man who owns the coffee plantation. The laughter of a friend sounds sweeter to the person who has known profound loneliness. The contrast creates the colour. If the world were perfectly fair, perfectly predictable, perfectly just, it would be a machine. We would be robots. Input effort, output reward, beep boop. But the unfairness, the chaos, the tragedy, this is what makes the human story an epic. We do not tell stories about people who had everything go right. We do not watch movies about the prince who was born rich, stayed rich, married the perfect girl, and died happy. That is boring. We tell stories about the underdog, the survivor, the one who was dealt a losing hand and bluffed their way to victory, the one who was broken and put themselves back together with gold glue. You are the protagonist of that kind of story. The world is a harsh landscape. It is a desert, and you have been dropped into it without a map, perhaps with less water than the person next to you. You can look at the person with the full canteen and the GPS and scream at the sky. You can sit in the sand and refuse to walk until a helicopter comes to save you. It isn't coming. Or you can start walking. You can learn to read the stars. You can learn to find water in the cactus. You can become tougher than the desert, and as you walk, you will find others. You will find the other walkers, the other strugglers, the unfairly treated, and there is a bond there that the chosen ones will never understand. There is a brotherhood of the trenches. When you meet someone else who has survived the fire, there is a nod, a silent recognition. You have been there too. You know. That connection is more powerful than any country club membership. So let us stop lying to the children. Or at least let us change the lesson. Instead of telling them, the world is fair, let us tell them, the world is wild. It is chaotic. It is often cruel. You will be knocked down. You will see people succeed who do not deserve it. You will see people fail who tried their best. But, we will tell them, you are strong, you are capable, and you have a power that the universe cannot touch. The power to choose your response. The world can choose the event. It can choose the tornado, the layoff, the rejection. But it cannot choose how you internalize it. It cannot make you a victim unless you agree to be one. This is the ultimate rebellion. To stand in the middle of an unfair reality and refuse to be bitter. To see the corruption and refuse to join it. To feel the pain and refuse to pass it on to others. To be the breakwater. Imagine the ocean waves crashing against the shore, wave after wave of anger, of greed, of indifference. You can be the rock that breaks the wave. You can ensure that the chaos stops with you, that the person standing behind you gets a moment of calm because you took the hit. That is a purpose worthy of a life. It is easy to love a world that loves you back. It is easy to play a game that you are winning. But to love life even when it is showing you its teeth, to play the game even when you know the house is cheating, that is the act of a warrior. So look at your hands, look at the scars, look at the empty spaces where you wanted things to be, the money, the beauty, the love, the recognition. Acknowledge the emptiness, mourn it. It's okay to cry over what you didn't get. But then, look at what is there. Look at the grit. Look at the resilience. Look at the wisdom that only comes from losing. The world is not fair. It is indifferent. But you are not indifferent. You are alive. You are here. You are the anomaly. You are the defiance. And in the end, the unfairness is not the point. The point is who you became while you were navigating it. Did you become hard and brittle and cruel? Did you become a mirror of the world's ugliness? Or did you become something else? Did you become the alchemist, the one who took the lead of injustice and transmuted it into the gold of character? The choice is not whether you will suffer. The choice is whether your suffering will have meaning. Do not let the unfairness make you ugly. Let it make you deep. Do not let the silence suffocate you. Fill it with your own voice. The voice of someone who knows the truth and speaks it anyway. The deck is sealed. The waters are rising. The odds are bad. Shuffle up and deal.